You're watching extras from the Extension on Eagle Community Television.
I'm Holly Dickman with the Ellis County Extension Office, and today I wanted to take a little bit of time to talk about pine trees. I know if you know who I am and you've heard me speak before, I do talk about pine trees quite a bit, but that's because all of these pine trees are really essential to our landscape here in western Kansas, and so we need to make sure that we take good care of them. And one of the things that I've been getting lots of questions about this fall, which is a good thing, is natural needle drop. And this is something that is nothing to be concerned about. This is just where those older inner needles simply slough off. So you can see on this tree here, a lot of them have already fallen, but they're just starting to fall off now. And I got so many phone calls throughout the fall here wondering if that was an issue, a problem, a disease, or an insect thing. So it's not. It's just called natural needle drop. Those old needles slough off naturally. Some years you won't notice it, other years you will. And so it's something that just comes and goes, but it is something that occurs every fall, usually starting in August through about November, and I will get lots of phone calls about it. Another thing that I wanted to talk about today is pine wilt, and pine wilt is a disease of pine trees, primarily Austrian and Scotch pine in our area here, that just kills the trees. There is no cure. It is a disease that is actually caused by a little microscopic worm called pinewood nematode, and it's a little microorganism, or it's a nematode, excuse me, that gets into those water conducting vessels of the tree, clogs them up, and causes the tree to wilt and die very quickly. So usually within a matter of weeks to a month, the tree goes from looking relatively healthy to maybe a dull grayish green to dead. So it's a really fast process. If you see something like that occur, please contact your local extension office to have them come out and check it out. We can test to see if it truly is the result of pine wilt. And if it does come back as a positive test, then what needs to be done is the tree needs to be removed and destroyed, hopefully before April 1st of next spring. So it is something that we do need to go ahead and get that tree out. That's really the only way to stop that disease from spreading to other trees. Now, if you're looking for symptoms for pine wilt, just go out and look at your tree overall. Like I said, it's usually very quick death, but one of the biggest symptoms that you can see when those branches are dead, you can go out and just kind of bend the branches. If they're brittle, if they just snap, if you go up and just bend it and it breaks, then that's a good indicator that there might be pine wilt going on. If the branches are still real flexible and bendable, then it's probably not pine wilt. It's probably the result of environmental stress or maybe some other diseases that can take place here in Kansas. But key factor there is brittle branches could be pine wilt coupled with a dead tree. If you have questions about your pine trees, we have some really great publications that I wanted to point out. One is just this Pine Diseases in Kansas publication. It kind of talks about the main disease issues that we see with pine trees in Kansas. And the reason why I really like this publication is because you can keep it as a reference and you can actually see when to treat for things. If you have a fungal disease like tip blight, for example, it'll give you the symptoms, it'll give you when those symptoms show up, it'll tell you when exactly to treat for that. With a lot of these diseases, timing is critical. So like I said, there's no cure for pine wilt, but with some of our other diseases, you can preventatively treat for some of these things. So I always want to make sure that people are aware of that, because unfortunately we have instances in town where someone gets approached by a landscape or a tree care person and they say that they could treat their tree right at that moment to fix that disease. Well, you want to make sure you know just exactly what disease they're talking about, first of all, and then make sure that you know what they're wanting to apply and see if that matches the timeline here. If it doesn't, then chances are it's a waste of your money and a waste of time to treat that tree at that time. Another publication I wanted to point out is this one specifically on pine wilt, and that's the disease I just talked about. It goes into great detail about the life cycle, how it's spread, and how to prevent it or get rid of it and make sure it doesn't happen in your landscape. So if you have questions about any of your pine trees or any of the trees in your landscape, don't hesitate to contact your local extension office for more information.
You're watching extras from the Extension on Eagle Community Television.